The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The government's three-day national COVID-19 vaccination drive kicks off tomorrow. Now, for the latest, Camille Samonte is reporting to us live from Pasay City. Camille, how are the preparations going so far?
Riza, the government has prepared 11,000 vaccination sites across the country for the national COVID-19 vaccination drive from November 29 to December 1. In a virtual presser, Vaccine Czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said the target for the three-day National Vaccination Day is to administer 9 million jabs. The figure was adjusted from the initial target 15 million shots due to a shortage in ancillary supplies and other logistical hurdles. Galvez said around 1 million doses will also be deployed as reserve jabs in different regions for its vaccination sites. The government assured the public that they are ready to accommodate more people once they exceed the target. To achieve the year-end inoculation goal, officials are planning to hold another drive for second doses and booster shots in December. Galvez noted that they are also now targeting to roll out booster shots for government and economic frontliners. Riza, Galvez adds that they are ramping up. They are starting to ramp up to administer shots for booster shots for priority groups amid the threat of Omicron variant. The government is also looking to administer jabs to minors aged 12 to 17 and teachers before the expanded in-person classes next year. Riza?
Thank you for that update. That's Camille Samonte reporting live from Pasay City. Now, over 18 million COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered across the country. Based on the data from the National Vaccination Operations Center, some 80.6 million jabs have been administered as of November 26. With this, around 35 million Filipinos are now fully vaccinated against the virus. This is 45% of the country's target population for inoculation. Now, over 45 million individuals, meanwhile, have received at least one dose. The Health Department logs 838 new COVID-19 infections. This brings the total caseload to 2.83 million, 16,600 of which are still active. At least 13 duplicates were removed from the case count. Now, 156 more people died of the virus, pushing the nationwide death toll to more than 48,300. 117 of which were just reclassified from recoveries after validation. Survivors, meanwhile, are now at 2.76 billion, with over 1,200 new recoveries logged today. 2.4% of some 34,200 people recently tested for COVID-19 turned out positive. It's been a year since Bloomberg first released its global COVID-19 pandemic resilience rankings. Now, the project's leader shows us the behind-the-scenes process in this video.
It's been 1 year since the launch of the Bloomberg COVID Resilience Ranking, and leaders from all over the world have taken notice.
And America was ranked first in Bloomberg's COVID Resilience Ranking. None of this happened by accident.
A recent Bloomberg report revealed that thanks to the hard work of the team of 5 million, New Zealand is currently rated as the most COVID-19 resilient country in the world.
Cei de la Bloomberg, România se menține la nivel global pe locul 14 în ceea ce privește campania de vaccinare.
And we feel that the Bloomberg resilience data is practically unfair to our country.
有关于彭博的指标，其实它都跟着疫情的状况有一些指标上的调整。
And now we're going behind the scenes with Bloomberg's Rachel Chang, who has been leading the project. Hi, Rachel. Tell us how the monthly COVID resilience ranking started and why.
So we first had the idea for a COVID resilience ranking, or a way to look at how different countries were dealing with the same threat. I mean, simply because this is probably the first time in generations that every single country in the world was facing the same public health crisis. It was so difficult really to keep up with what each region or even each country was doing. Where were the places that were doing the best? Where were the places having the best strategies for dealing with COVID? And so that was really the idea behind the ranking, an easy way to look at through data where the best practices were when dealing with this once in a generation public health crisis.
And can you tell us a bit about how it works, how the ranking is compiled every month?
So every month, when we first started, we had 10 data points, and these involved from COVID cases to COVID fatalities. We also had another data point specifically on deaths, which was overall mortality per 1 million people. We also had data points that looked at the quality of the country's health system, its Human Development Index, according to the United Nations. And then we had a data point that looked at the strictness of its lockdown actions. That was compiled by Oxford University, its stringency index. What happened in June was that we did have a revamp where we added 2 indicators to reflect reopening and the progress of normalization. Because at that point, vaccines were very common already in the developed economies, and we saw a lot of economies racing to normalize life for their people.
We've seen world leaders react to the rankings, sometimes even critically. Where do you go from here?
I think the mission of the ranking has always been for people to be able to see in an easy way what each place was doing and where the best practices were. When I think about the controversy or the reaction, I think I always remember at one point the Philippines was being asked by their own media, why was the Philippines always ranked so low? And I think there was an official, I can't remember who exactly, I think a health ministry official who said, well, the ranking helps us see where we can do better. And I just thought that very much captured the mission and the spirit of this project and why we've put so much effort into it month after month for a year. It's really for people to see where the best practices are and hopefully learn from that, and along the way be able to save lives and be able to deal with the pandemic in a better way.
Now, circling back to our top story, the government is set to kick off its massive national vaccination drive tomorrow. Let's get an update on Quezon City's preparation with Mayor Joy Belmonte. She's joining us over the phone this afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor Joy.
Hello, good afternoon, Riza, and good afternoon to all of our viewers and listeners as well.
Mayor Belmonte would like to ask, how are the preparations going in Quezon City, and how many of your constituents are you planning to inoculate?
Well, preparations are going very well. And in fact, we have been targeting 50,000 to be vaccinated per day. And these include all of the first doses of unvaccinated adults and children, as well as booster shots. And we have already secured the cooperation of about 11 or 12 malls, including the Araneta Coliseum and also the Eton Centris. No? And we also have generated some support from the private sector and the medical teams as well that come from the private sector who will be assisting us. So we're pretty much prepared for these 3 days.
Mayor, you mentioned these venues, but will there be additional vaccination sites for the 3-day drive, and how many will be open for vaccinees?
Yeah, actually, Risa, we have the usual vaccination sites, which will be for our second doses, for both the minors as well as for the adults having their second doses. So those are regular sites that are always open, and they will continue to be operating in these 3 days. But in these 3 days, we have added malls, like I mentioned, and also in addition to the malls, as well as the Big Dome and events venue, the Eton Centris, we have also added, but I forgot to mention, around 7 McDonald's branches who have agreed to be vaccination sites for us as well.
Mayor Joy, we understand as a whole the nation is having a challenge when it comes to supplies, let's say for syringes. Are you having the same troubles for Quezon City, or what are the challenges that you're facing?
Well, at the moment, none really are fortunate to have ordered very early on about 1 million doses of AstraZeneca, and about 225,000 of these doses have arrived, and these are the doses that we are going to be using for our booster shots, as well as for our first doses during the National Vaccination Day program. So we have no shortage in supplies, and for the second doses, we still have the doses from the national government.
Mm-hmm. Mayor Joy, final question. Are you also open? Is Quezon City open also for non-Quezon City residents?
Yes, actually, that is the policy now of the national government, that we have to work together towards ensuring the inoculation of all our people in the country. So the Quezon City government, while we are encouraging all the residents to be vaccinated, we are also accepting non-residents who work in Quezon City, students who may not be living here but who study here, as well as anybody who owns real estate here or are stakeholders here. But in addition to that, we are also opening up our city to other LGUs who may need to have their citizens vaccinated and may not have enough manpower or enough vaccine supplies in their respective LGUs. We welcome them here in Quezon City as well in those next 3 days of the campaign.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Mayor Joy Belmonte of Quezon City.
Thank you, Riza.
Now let's take a quick look at today's other top stories. At least 45% of Filipino families feel poor as of the third quarter of 2021. That's according to an SWS survey. Some 34% felt borderline poor, while only 21% rated themselves as not poor. But still, the pollsters saw a slight improvement in self-rated poor families from the last survey in June 2021. The Labor Department has halted the deployment of newly hired household service workers to Saudi Arabia. Secretary Silvestre Bello III said the suspension is due to several reports of abuse. Processing of documents of domestic workers will resume once or upon the issuance of new verification guidelines. And oil companies are set to roll back gasoline prices this week as the new COVID-19 variant triggers global market. UniOil projects that the prices for diesel would go down by 50 to 60 centavos, while a price rollback of up to 1 peso and 10 centavos per liter in gasoline is likewise expected. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.